to have a discussion with the brother about the subject. I want to know, you know how it is in the Moorish Science Temple of America. You say something, or it's like, okay, you know what? Opinions are all right. As a matter of fact, they are important. They are very important. When we state our opinions as if they are facts, then when other Moors say, okay, it's proof, right? So the topic is as Moorish Americans, do we or do we not understand that men and women are equals? Huh? That's a question. That's a question. I'm asking the question. Do we or do we understand that men and women are equals? Have proof of this as being something that we know to be true, something that is, in our doctrine. Islam, there's a question. The question is, as Moorish Americans, do we understand that men and women are, or that they are not equals? And whatever it is, if we say that the answer is no, then do we have proof of it in our doctrine? If we say that the answer is yes, is there proof of it in our doctrine? Islam? Islam, she.
Islam, praise Allah, honest to the Prophet. And it's all things that we're giving honest to. I would say, yes, we can find proof in our Holy Quran that spiritually man and woman is the same, because we know that man is not the body nor the soul. He's a spirit and a part of Allah. But when we go into, let's say, the later chapters, chapter 20, 21, where it talks about man and woman or man and wife, there's different duties and responsibilities that man and woman have on the plane to manifest. Islam?
Oh. So now the question then becomes, because the duties of the husband and the wife, the mother and the father, because their duties differ, does this mean that they are not equal, or are their duties still equal? Like, does the woman carry 60% of the burden of life, or does the man carry 60% of the burden of life? Or is it equally divided according to the special gifts and talents that men have and the special gifts and talents that women have?
Equal, but they balance each other.
They balance each other. Islam. Islam. Okay, now let's take a look at it. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Ain't that what the prophet say? That's in the law. Okay, so he says support your wife and children. What does that mean? What does it mean to support your wife and children? What does that mean? What does that look like? Oh man, come on now. Come on now, y'all. What does it mean to support your wife and children?
Necessity.
Necessity. All necessity? Like what? Give me some examples.
First and foremost, food.
Food, Islam.
Shelter.
Islam.
What's in clothing?
Clothing, food, shelter, and clothing. Okay. Islam, what you think, Day? What does supporting your wife and children
Islam,
look
my
like?
bad. Can you repeat the question? My computer had blacked out for a minute.
Okay, the question is, the prophet said, husband, you must support your wife and children. The question is, what does that look like? What does supporting your wife and children look like? What does that mean?
Making sure they got a roof over their head, food in their stomach to make sure they nourished, clothes on their back.
Islam. Our sister Nessa, our Nessa Bay says spiritual, moral, and material responsibility. Spiritual, moral, and material responsibility. So she's saying that the husband, this is a wife, and she's saying that her husband owes her spiritual support, moral support, and material support. Islam? All right. Wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children, and look after the duties of your household. What does that look like? Obey your husband. What does the prophet mean when the prophet say, wife, you must obey your husband? Hey, stand on one foot and tap the top of your head. Absolutely not. So what do he mean by that? When he say you must obey your husband, what does he mean by that? You want to hear my measure on it? Yeah. Islam. Like Arnessa Bay said, spiritual support, moral support, material support. All right. So for one, the only way that I can guide you spiritually is if I am guided spiritually, following the spiritual path. So if I am being obedient to Allah, and then in turn I'm communicating these instructions to you, then the Prophet of Ali is saying, obey them. All right. But guess what though? And I've seen this in many cases. I've seen in many cases where the spiritual leader in the house was the woman because she was the one blessed with that instruction. All right. So when the prophet says to obey your husband, it first of all, it's a qualification involved in that. Okay. You obey your husband if your husband is right. You obey your husband if your husband is doing the right things. Now, when they say obey, for me, you know, I can say, okay, here's the money. Take care of the bills. Okay. Now don't go out somewhere and shortchange the people who we owe because you want to buy a new purse. And then turn around and tell me, well, you're supposed to be materially supporting me, so come up with some more money. No, don't do that. So to me, that's what it looks like. All right. It means when he say obey, I feel that he is just saying be faithful. You understand me?
That's right.
So anybody else got anything else on that? Now let's look at that. So first he said, husband, you must support your wife and children. Then he turned around and said, wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children, and look after the duties of your household. What's the balance here? What happens if the man is not there to support the wife and to support the wife and children? What happens then? Because she got to do what? She got to go out and support the children. She got to go out and go get some money. So now who gets shortchanged? And the children. Yeah. You understand me? Now, but what happens if the man is supporting the wife and children, but now she's not obeying the husband, neither is she taking care of the children, and she ain't looking after the duties of the household? What happens then? Anybody ever knew somebody who went out? Anybody ever knew a man who went out, made good money, came home, and they still got evicted? Y'all ever seen that happen? And the man he go work a good job. He got enough money to pay all the bills. And they still get evicted. Now, mind you, you don't get evicted for missing your rent one time, do you? You don't even get evicted for missing your rent twice. So now the children, where are they gonna sleep? How are they gonna receive a proper education if they have to keep on moving from school to school? It sounds like to me, without a doubt or a contradiction, I am absolutely convinced that this is a equal balance. I am absolutely convinced. Anybody familiar with the gender principle? Anybody familiar with the gender principle? Show them what's. So it's kind of like the principle of polarity, which is the principle of positive and negative. We familiar with that. Everybody, if you ever seen a battery, you familiar with that, right? Okay. Well, the gender principle is kind of similar to that. All right. So you have male and female energy. Okay. Now this is where we remove the physical aspect. The gender principle does not take into consideration the physical part at all. All right. It's all about the energy. That makes sense? Okay. Now it's only one singular energy. And this is just a concept that we're going to use to try to understand this, all right? It's only one singular energy, okay? But from pole to pole, the energy, it changes. The nearer it gets to the female energy, it changes to become female energy, and the nearer it gets to the male energy, it changes. Now, they both are still the same, negative and positive, all right? So female energy is a negative energy and male energy is a positive energy. Now, mind you, this negative and positive ain't got nothing to do with good or bad. It's just energy. Now, in short, the nature of female energy is an energy that pulls. Now, I want to show you something in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, chapter number 2. All right? The Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, chapter number 2, is education of Mary and Elizabeth in Zone, Egypt. The root word of education is edus. Edus. All right? This is the root word of education. So now the word edus means to draw out what is in. Islam? So you're not putting anything there. If I am educing, then that means that I am drawing out of you what is in. Now, some men can develop the talent because we all have female energy and male energy as well. Every last one of us. So some men can develop their talent to be an educator, to be able to educe, whereas it is the woman's nature to do it. Okay, now let me show you something. What did the Prophet know about Ali? Who is the first teacher? The mother. Why? Because the mother is going to bring out of the child what is already there. Now, in this case, we're talking about two very specific children. It's talking about John and Jesus. Okay? Purity and love. So it was their mother's job, it was their mother's duty to draw out of them this purity and this love so that they can do this incredibly difficult mission that they had in front of them. Okay? Now, later on in the Quran, after he's been under the tutelage of his mother for a certain term of years in his life, Jesus then does what? He begins to work with his father as a carpenter. He begins the material work with his hands. And he then translates into a way that he could actually affect people mentally and affect himself. When he say these tools we handle remind me of the ones, he say these tools remind me of the ones we handle in the workshop of the mind. But he was working with his father with his hands physically. He was 12 years old, but prior to that, he had been receiving these lessons that alien humans alone had taught to Mary and Elizabeth from his mother. Okay, so now this is now the male energy, the positive energy, it pushes. When there is a pushing and a pulling, a pushing and a pulling, y'all see how it creates a cycle of energy? You see how it creates a constant motion. But what would happen if you have a pushing and no pulling? No, you're going to keep on going, but guess what you might do as a man? You might do what a lot of men do. We overdo a lot of things. You understand what I'm saying? You need a balance. You need something to counteract your natural inclination towards being pushy. And I'm saying that to kind of plant the idea.
Run out of that hard.
So now this energy being receptive, it's made to balance this energy. That's what it is made to do. It's made to balance this energy. Now it's kind of like the birds and the bees. All right. I remember when I was writing a book. I was writing a book called Gucci Bag. The book was about a little girl who had AIDS, and she found out she had AIDS. She got mad and she was giving it to everybody. Okay. Now, it was about 5 or 6 guys who she had been dealing with, and all of them was possibly could have AIDS. Just so happens that one of these guys who ended up losing his mind thinking that he had AIDS, he didn't have AIDS. He had sex with this girl, but he didn't have AIDS. Now, when a man has sex with a woman, if he has any type of disease and he ejaculates into that woman, she is going to catch that disease. Right? But men might not catch the disease that the woman has. Why? It's right here. She pulls, he pushes. Even in their womb. The womb, we push. So unless the bacteria or the virus or whatever the agent is that causes the disease can actually enter into the man, he don't catch it. Unless it's one of those diseases that you could get from just being on your skin.
I was just gonna say that because the skin is a large organ.
Yeah.
So once it comes in contact with it, it's still gonna absorb
it. It depends on what that is, like a herpes or a warts or something like that. You understand what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, and like I said, I'm only using this as an example so that we can conceptualize the natures of men and women and see that it's equal. All right? A lot of us, we get in our mind because physically men are stronger, more powerful on average than women, that it means that we are superior to women. And I know that to be false. Definitely. All right, I know that to be false. Islam. So I really want to touch on that subject just for the Moorish Americans, if someone is gonna be a lot of people out in the world, other schools of thought that believe different. They're gonna believe different. They're gonna believe that, that men are superior. I remember having an issue with reading the Holy Quran of Muhammad, with reading the Surah of Woman, because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand in the Quran why would it tell a husband to chastise his wife. I did not understand why men inherited, when someone passed away, that men received the larger of the inheritance than women. I didn't understand it. Okay, but so I asked Allah, I said, Allah, make me to understand this. And then it became clear to me. When you read it, it says men, if your woman commits adultery, then chastise her. Okay, but then later on, it tells us, it says, brothers, if one of the brothers commit adultery, then you chastise him. So what Allah is saying is, you can't just jump on me and beat me up. You can't just force me to do something, but that's our duty. It's our duty as men to guard our women against others who might do these type of things to them. You understand what I'm saying? And then when it talked about the inheritance, what it said, what? Husband, you must support your wife and children. So the reason why she receives a small of the inheritance is because she don't have to pay the bills with it. She don't have to invest in and support the children with it. You understand what I'm saying? So she gets enough to put in her pocket to be able to go and do the things that women do. Y'all like to buy bags and purses and stuff. Some of y'all just be big backing it like cherry Pepsis and Mike and Ike's. Islam. yes, I'm sure. Cherry Pepsis and Mike and Ike's. Islam. All right, man. Y'all ready? 101 book. 101. Y'all know how this goes? I read the question. We answer in unison. And we build on it. We're gonna start. We're not gonna start at the beginning though. We're gonna start. We will start at key 66. Islam. How many cells are there? Two. I'm gonna say it one more time. I'm gonna answer in unison. How many cells are there?
Two.
Name them.
Higher self and lower self.
What people represent the higher self?
The angels who protect the holy city of Mecca.
What people represent the lower self?
Those who were cast out of the holy city and those who were set their teeth.
Islam. Somebody tell, look at key 69. It's something in key 69 I think we need to pay attention to. It's something in key 69 we need to pay attention to. Read the answer to key 69 again.
Those who were cast out of the holy city and those who accept their teaching.
That last part. And those who accept their teaching. What that mean?
People who accept the lessons of Allah.
Islam, read key 69. Key 69, it says, what people represent the lower self? It says, those who were cast out of the holy city and those who accept their teaching.
Oh, so like maybe
what you say, Mo?
I was thinking like maybe the teaching of like people who being negative towards them.
Islam, what you say, Kev? People who follow devil worship. People, listen to what he said. He didn't say people who are devil worshipers. He said people who follow devil worship. Okay? So you have these individuals who have been cast out. You have these individuals who clearly we can see that they did wrong, right? Whatever it is they're doing, clearly, we know these individuals. But then there are another group of individuals who we might not just see out in the open. Those who accept their teaching. You understand what I'm saying? So you have these ones, they teaching this now, and we already know them by name. But then behind the scenes, it might be one standing right next to you. Right? But they accept the teachings of these individuals who we cast out. Give me an example. Give me a real life example. And not the most extreme. The most extreme would be the devil worship. All right? But remember, we got social problems, political problems, economic problems. We got all types of problems. All right? So now let's look at it from that perspective. That's funny. What about the economic bloodsuckers? What about the Prophet Noble Drew Ali? Didn't the Prophet Noble Drew Ali say tell the Moors they was gonna be taxed to death? Didn't the Prophet say that? He said, Moors, he said you're gonna be taxed to death. He said the government they gonna take advantage. This whole tax thing, they gonna take advantage of it. They gonna start digging so deep down into your pocket that when you reach your hand into your pocket, you're gonna be like, I know I put some money there, but it ain't gonna be no money there. You can't find it. That's bogus, right? But how many of our own people who we do business with every day got the same type of mentality? Want to tax you to death. They want to take something they know it ain't worth nothing for $25. They want you to give them $35 for it. Especially if they believe you ain't got nowhere else to go and get it. These are individuals who have accepted their teaching. You understand me? Y'all ready?
Yeah.
What is the higher self?
The highest self is the mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life, and breeds justice, mercy, love, and right.
So how does the higher self bring about justice, mercy, love, and right? Islam, it is a lot of people out here like that, Mo. Definitely is. How does the higher self bring about justice, mercy, love, and right? It breeds it, that's right. And what does that mean? How does breeding take place? How though?
Something like connection,
What type of connection?
spiritual, emotional.
A spiritual and emotional what? Say. I mean, how babies made? Exactly. So what is it? So what happens though? It's a copulation, right? So here it says that the higher self is the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life. So he tells us what the children are. It breeds justice, mercy, love, and right. It breeds. So it has to be a copulation, which means that it can't do it by itself, right? Because it breeds these things. So who is it breeding with? Is it breeding with the world? Who was it breeding with? The higher self. Life. 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 Think. Who is it breeding with? The higher self. Allah. Allah. All right. Does everybody have a higher self? Yes.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
They might not know of their higher self. Maybe so, stuck in that lower self, lower energy that they haven't really acknowledged or found that higher self yet, but we all have them.
We all have one. But it doesn't produce anything without breeding. You understand me? So it's just like you got, I hate to use this example, but just say you got a real dope pit bull. You got super dope pit bull, a female, super dope. I mean, super strong, smart, color pretty, everything. But you just keep your dog in the house. You don't let your dog breed with nobody else's, you don't bring no male dogs around to breed this beautiful, wonderful creature. You don't breed it. All right. So it doesn't produce those puppies that would, be able to carry that. So the higher self, is the Prophet of Jali, he's teaching us something. Everybody has a higher self, just like everybody has a lower self. Everybody. We could go find the worst character in the world. They have a higher self. But the higher self is not being allowed to copulate, it's not being allowed to have an intercourse with its source. So therefore, it's not producing justice, mercy, love, right? It's not producing that. It's just there. All right. Can the higher self pass away?
No.
Why?
Because it's Allah and man.
Because it is Allah and man. Because it is Allah and man. It cannot pass away. Can Allah die? No. In the Holy Quran, chapter number 1, it says, there is no death for the human soul. I said, no death. Man cannot die. As long as Allah lives, man cannot die. Does the lower self breathe?
Surrendering of the lewdness, murders, death, and everything that harms.
Hatred, slander, lewdness, murders, death, and everything that harms. Again, we see that word, breathe, right? Yeah. So just like everyone has a higher self, everyone has a lower self. But some people are just beautiful people, right? They're just beautiful people. They're wonderful. Like they are wonderful. They selfless. They eat. Every vibration is always warm and welcoming. It's like these are beautiful, wonderful people to be around. But they do have a, but the lower self again is not being allowed. What does the lower self breed with? The lower self. Okay, now I want to take a look at something. All right. All right. I want you to look at read key 65.
But that was sometimes called lower self.
The lower self is the devil, Mo. The lower self is the devil. You drawing? So what is the lower self? Huh?
So it's breeding with itself?
No, this devil needs to breed with something. What is it breeding with? The lower self is the devil.
So what does it breed with?
It's so.
I'm asking you.
Oh,
Let's think about it. Think about it. Somebody turn to chapter 20 in the Holy Quran. Turn to chapter 20 in your Holy Quran and read the first instruction number 1. Two edges. It looks like two X's.
Step one,
Read instruction one. That's right.
holy instruction and warnings for all young men. Beware, young men. Beware of all the allurements of wantonness.
Montanus.
Beware of all the allurements of wantonness, and let not the harlot tempt thee to excess in her delights.
So who was the harlot right there? Who is the harlot that he's talking about? It say, beware the allurements of wantons, and let not the harlot tempt thee to excess in her delight. Who is this harlot? What is a harlot? A harlot is a hooker. All right? A harlot is a hooker. That's the archaic term for hooker. So it says, beware of the allurements of wantonness. Wantonness is just that, just that, wow, I'm just finna party, I'm just finna do me, I'm just finna go hard, no moderation to it. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, so it says, let not the harlot tempt thee to excess in her delights. Who is this harlot? When we read the scripture, it always talk about the harlot. Who is the harlot? She got all types of delights. All types of delights. What you like? What you into? She got plenty of it. She got plenty of it. You want to see something? She got so much for you to see. So much for you to enjoy. What is she? Who is she? Where is she? Why you gotta be a harlot? It's a harlot. You know why? Because she is receptive. And guess what she'll take? Anything. Who is she? When we tell y'all where she at? Yeah. Where you at? Where your feet at?
You talking about like desires of a world, like material.
Absolutely. The world. These material things that we see, these sensations that we feel and fall in love with. The world. Beware, young man. Beware of the allurements of wantonness, and let not the harlot tempt thee to excess in her delight. He didn't even say don't enjoy it, but he said, let not the harlot tempt thee to excess, to go overboard. All right. So when we allow for the Lord's self to just, have an intercourse with this world, then hatred, slander, lewdness, murders, theft, and everything that harms is what is produced. Islam? Can we see that?
Yeah, world today.
What is hatred? It said hatred. What is hatred?
You discuss something.
When you discuss it, you discussed it by something. Okay. What does hate look like?
Disguising something someone else has.
What else? You said it. You said it could be anything. Hatred got so many outfits in the closet.
Anger.
Masks, yeah. It takes many, many forms. Some of them is blatant. We know it as soon as we see it. But then some of it, we don't even recognize it right off the bat. You understand what I'm saying? See, we have to be able to, as Moorish Science, we have to be able to see beyond what's on the surface of a thing. We got to be able to look past what's plain. Because there's a lot that's hidden. Islam? What about slander? What is slander?
Like talk bad about somebody.
Talk bad about somebody. Slander. Hatred. Slander. Slander. Give me an example of slander. Yeah, you could, some people, you know, write bad stuff, you know, they do that, yeah, that's slandering other people. We used to do that back in the day. Yeah, we used to do it. Cuss words. Not necessarily. I mean, when you slander someone, like what about like in politics today, that's like the norm.
Oh,
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
One person is running for office, so they just slander their opponent. You know, they want to discredit their opponent. That's the best way to defeat an individual is to discredit them. You understand what I'm saying? So you used to start slandering. All right. It's the lowest self. Slander. What about lewdness? What is lewdness?
I never heard that word before.
You never heard that word before? What is lewdness? Lewdness is perversion. All right. Lewdness is when you know that perverted energy. You understand what I'm saying? That's that lewd energy. All right. Give me an example. Give me an example of perversion. Absolutely. That's about as lewd as it gets. That is about as lewd as it gets. Now give me an example that's not so plain and blatant. Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, you said with P. Diddy?
Yeah.
The accusations.
Oh, yeah, he nuts, man.
He might be nuts.
Yeah.
He might be. Let's say true wisdom is less presuming than folly. So we don't want to just jump out there and say, I know what it, but at the same time, like in the case of R. Kelly, growing up in Chicago, having been, you know, sitting down in my living room when I was a child, I know R. Kelly, I know what he did, okay? In this case, it sounds terrible, it all looks bad, it looks tragic, it looks awful, but let's leave it alone. Let's leave it alone until it's all said and done, right? Let's let the smoke clear. Islam.
So,
And then that's
So
all I
he
want to
trying
take.
to say R. Kelly ain't do it.
You say,
What he
yeah, I
trying to
say
say
what?
R. Kelly ain't do it.
I wasn't even listening, but
R. Kelly absolutely did all that crap. I mean, I don't want to talk.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, but we're gonna leave that alone though. Listen, let's do this. Let's avoid especially because we live streaming on Facebook. Let's not talk about our people. Yeah. Islam. Because at the end of the day, these are Asiatic people that are our people and they should be our responsibility. Someone around them years and years and years ago should have recognized what they was doing and checked years ago. You know, so when we allow for people, you know, who that's why I want to go through this exercise of saying us asking ourselves, you know, what does this stuff look like? So that if we have small children around us and they start to show signs that any of this is in them, that we could, because the Quran says, watch the bent of his inclination and set him right in his youth. The prophet tells us to let no evil habit gain strength with his years. We're supposed to try to see this when they're young and stop it when they're young. You understand what I'm saying? Instead of to allow for it to grow and become habitual. All right. So at the end of the day, this is all a failing that we own. We own this failing. All right. We owe a responsibility to each other. But all these people running around here thinking that they live in this world by themselves, that they ain't got nothing to do with what's going on with other people. They thinking is wrong, Lord. The Holy Quran says no man liveth to himself, and every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing. So if I'm bound to you by a cord, I'm not gonna just let you drag me down the highway, man. I'm not gonna let you jump off into an ocean and pull me into the ocean and have me to drown with you. And then I got my children attached to me. You think I'm fixing to let you pull me, my children, my family? You think I'm fixing to let you pull me over that cliff? Now, the individuals thinking that they could just sever themselves from the situation and stand over here. In their mind, they thinking that they are avoiding going over the cliff. But the Quran teaches us something different. And I know from my own personal experiences that being silent, most of the time is the worst thing you can do. It's the worst thing you, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all. Everybody here know that when I was 8 years old, my brother died, right? Yeah. Everybody here know. Y'all know my brother committed suicide. My brother hung himself, okay? I knew I was sitting in my mama's living room. It was me, my mama, Pumpkin, and Sheila, and Coco. And I was sitting in front of the floor model TV, and I was watching the TV, and my brother came out the room. He said something to my mama said something to him, and my brother walked out the house. He came back, he had a pair of brand new shoestrings in his hand. And he was just holding them like this. And he walked back there to his room, and I knew that something was wrong. Now, I had never heard of suicide before. I didn't even know. I was 8. Had never experienced, didn't know it existed. But there was something in me, something urging me to go back there and tell my brother, because I knew that my brother thought that my mother had took Pumpkin's side on the situation. And he was hurt by that. But he didn't know that my mama was really going in on Pumpkin the whole time. But every time Poncho would walk out there, because she was also upset at him too. You understand what I'm saying? So he thought that because she was just going on him, that she did, but she was snapping and going on. And something was telling me to go and tell Poncho that. Because that would ease, and I did. I just sat right there, and something was telling me, go back there and tell him. Well, that night I cut my brother down at the clock. I would have much rather have went back there if I could rewind that tape. But guess what? I told myself that I'm not being quiet on no matters no more. No matters no more. So even when I'm y'all know, everybody who know me, know I'm getting in between knives and guns and everything. I'm not letting nothing shake. There ain't nothing happening while I'm present. And if I get a whiff of it, then because I don't want to go through, I sat silent and have to deal with that again ever. I don't want to go through that no more ever, okay? So from my own personal experience, all right, because he gone. But guess what? I am still bound to that day. I'm living that day over and over and over and over again. Every time when I was in prison, every time I seen a fight getting ready to start, I would see my brother. And I would be right up in the middle of it. Like, hey, man, let's talk about this. What's going on? There have been times where somebody might owe somebody some money. I might pull the other man up and be like, man, how much you owe? I'm going to give it to you so you don't have to get in trouble about going, this situation. Okay? So I just wanted to share that just to say, well, I'm not just talking. I'm not just saying something. I'm not saying just throwing it out there, and I'm not going to actually stand on it. I know this to be true. Islam, murders, hatred, slander, lewdness, murders. What is murder?
Kill somebody.
Is when you kill somebody always a murder, though?
Oh, no, that ain't always a murder.
Islam. So what is a murder?
I say like a meditated kill on somebody for no reason.
Islam. It's an unjustified taking of a life. It's an unjustified, there was no reason for it. It was unjustified taking of a life. Unjustified taking of a life. How often is the taking of a life actually justified?
Self-defense could be justified.
Yes. How many times have you had to take a life to defend your life since you've been living? Exactly. It happens very rarely. It rarely happens, all right? But guess what? Killing It's not that rare of a thing on this planet. It's really not. It's not that rare of a thing. There is an instruction in your Holy Quran in the insufficiency of knowledge. And it says, when thou sons increase about thy table, sendest thou them not out to slay the innocent. So when you become a ruler and you have all of these soldiers at your command, you know, don't be just sending your people to war. In these wars, man, do we actually sit back sometimes and think and try to see in our minds how many people are killed in these wars? How many people just in the 17 years of conflict between America and Afghanistan, how many people died? In the last 4 years, since Ukraine and Russia has been at war, how many people have died? Every time these presidents or these other parliament leaders of these different nations, you know, do these airstrikes, people die. Like, these people are dead. You understand? This happens so much. All these gang wars that go on, and not just in the United States of America. Gangism is a cancer that's everywhere. Okay? All of these gang wars, people are dying. Now, with this being the case, a lot of times the individuals who pull the trigger or push the knife or throw the bomb, they are not guilty of murder. It's their leaders who are sitting somewhere safe, ain't got no bullet flying past their head. They the ones who committing the murders, because they the ones who sending these individuals out to slay the innocent. And once the first bullet gets fired in a war, now it's both sides doing what? Self-defense. Once that first bullet gets fired, now both sides is self-defense. So every killing that happens in between, it goes back to the leader. And the leader now is a murderer. Okay? Don't be that person. Do not be that person. All right? And I want to give you an example, something that my dad did when I was little. I want to show you, because we always can look at the most extreme. I want us to be able to see those little subtle demonstrations of murder, okay? Because, you know, a killing means that something has changed. I want to show y'all something that my dad did when I was little. My mom, y'all remember Jones? You remember Jones?
I think so.
Jones was an incredible man.
Yeah, I think I remember him though.
Jones was super dope. All right. We called him Jones because nobody could pronounce his first name but me. His name was Attiliano. He was Belize. This man was so good to my mother, and he was so good to me. All right. Well, my dad told me that no matter what Jones told me to do, if it was good or bad, don't do it. And if he said he didn't like it, tell him to talk to my dad. And I love my dad. And my dad, he knew that I loved him. He knew I loved him. He knew I would do whatever he said do because I loved him. So he told me to do this thing that was absolutely wrong, and I did. So now here it was when I was 12, 13, 14 years old. I had this man in my life who was being an incredible father figure to me, whom I created a conflict between us. Now I'm going to show y'all how much this man cared about me. When we was living on 51st Street and him and my mom were no longer together. Remember, he was a K-9 cop. Remember that? Remember, he was the captain of the K-9 police in Chicago. You didn't know that. Okay, well, he used to always pull his truck up under the train station on 51st Street and sit there all night until I got off the train. And then he'd take me home. Do you know how many times he probably sat there and I didn't get off that train, but it never stopped him from being there every time I got off that train? Because he wanted to protect me. Because he knew on that side of 51st Street, I ain't had no business being over there. But I had just a couple blocks to get to the house. And any one of them nights, I could have lost my life right there. But I came down there and he was there. He was there. So my daddy committed murder. He killed the relationship. He killed the possibility for me to learn manhood. It took me, just imagine, I didn't know how to be a man. But he could have taught me. He could have taught me. But I didn't know. And that's the truth. Y'all know that, right? I mean, I'm not telling you something. I'm not telling y'all something that y'all don't know about. I didn't know how. But I had the chance to learn, and my dad took that chance from me. Don't be that person. Don't take these opportunities and these chances from your children, because now you're killing something. You're murdering. Son. Theft. What is theft? Stealing. Stealing. Give me an example.
Like stealing somebody's car or something.
Okay. Absolutely, because it ain't yours, right?
Yeah.
The Holy Quran of the Moorish Science of America says that the man who covets is a thief.
What that mean?
To covet means that you're looking at something that somebody else got and you want it for yourself. That's you already stole. It say the man who covets is a thief. You see? Now, what's the difference between me looking at your car and wanting your car for myself than me looking at your car and wanting a car like that?
Right, that's what I was just thinking too.
It's a difference though.
It gotta be a difference.
Because the difference is you think that you deserve my car more than me, and I'm the one who got it. But you don't. Then you saying, you know what? When I get the chance opportunity, I'm gonna get me a car like that. That's different. Now that's admiration. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not now the envy and the covetous is out of it. It became admiration. All right? It's power in admiration. Okay? Admiration turns into what? Inspiration. And inspiration does what? It propels us forward. It causes us to get up out of our seat and move. Inspiration makes us wake up in the morning and get out the bed when we ain't want to get up. You see, so it's a power in admiring and admiration. It's a power in that. But in coveting and being envy, it's also a power in that. But it has the reverse effect. Okay? So now you get in your mind, you get this despair in your mind, you get all these type of things going on inside your head that will actually prevent you from succeeding. Because you ain't thinking about what you need to be doing. You're thinking about something you ain't got no business even thinking about. Don't be that person. All right? I personally feel like it's all right. It's all right to admire anything that's happening. All right? It's all right. It's all right. And everything that harms. So we talked about hatred, slander, lewdness, murders, and theft. And he goes on saying everything that harms. What else is it? What could be this everything that harms? What's some examples of that? What's some other things that the lower self could do other than hate, slander, be lewd, and steal? It's a lot, y'all. Cheat, lie, connive, eat bad, don't go to sleep at night when you know you need to go to sleep at night. Don't wake up in the morning when you know you need to wake up in the morning. Don't listen when you know you should listen. Don't talk when you know you should talk. All of these are things that can harm. Right?
Yeah.
You see? Let's not just focus on the most extreme again. The things that's blatant, the things that's right in front of us. You know? Let's dig deep. Remember, the highest heights are gained by those who reach the greatest depths. And you shall reach the greatest depths. Always look deeply into a thing. Look, especially, let's identify all of the parts of a thing, right? When I say all of the parts, what do you mean Sheik by all of the parts? That is spiritual. Mental. Physical. Let's look at all of the parts of a thing whenever we look at a thing. All right. Concept, whatever it is. Let's look at it from every perspective. That way we don't miss nothing. So, as to what did the higher self say to the lower self at one time when he met him?
Are you going to say
What was the answer that the lower self gave to the higher self?
I'm going to
for the earth seeking whom I may devour?
Where are you going, Satan? It said the question was, what did the higher self say to the lower self when? At one time when he met him. Where they meet up at? It's the higher self and the lower self. So where did they meet up at?
Well, the higher self, then the higher self kicked the lower self out.
Did he?
Yeah,
It don't say that.
I thought that's what he did.
It say, I am going to and fro the earth to see for whom I may devour.
That's when he kicked him out, right?
It don't say that. But my question is, where did they meet up at?
Right.
Ooh, that's crazy, ain't it?
The love and the heart you can have.
That's
Type of
crazy,
privilege.
ain't it?
It's in the heart.
In the heart, yeah.
That's what they met at.
Now draw. Y'all familiar with the Bible story, Job? Anybody familiar with Job? The book of Job. You familiar with Job? Remember, Job loved a lot, didn't he?
Yeah.
And a lot loved Job back. Job was very, very faithful to Allah. Very faithful to Allah. He was so faithful to Allah that the devil says to Allah that the only reason why Job loved you so much is because you give him everything. Ain't that right? He said, if you take some of that stuff, that you take that stuff away from him, he ain't gonna love you like that no more. Right? So the devil asked Allah, he said, man, he want to test Job. Allah tell him, man, go ahead. You can do anything you want to him, just don't touch him. All right. Now that's how the story of Job goes. So he took everything from him, and Job still loved Allah. Took everything from him. He took everything from him. Man, killed his kids. He did everything. He inflicted with all types of diseases. He did everything. See, this story is very special because chapter number 13 of your Holy Quran. Y'all remember when Elihu and Salome, they asked Allah, they said, let your servants go in peace. They was ready to change forms. When they seen the prophet Jesus at the age of 25, fulfilling the prophecies that have been written about him, they were ready to go ahead and change forms. Now I'm going to give y'all an idea of why they were prepared to go ahead and change forms. Okay, so now I looked this up years ago. I want to know historically, what was the timeline between the life of the prophet Jesus and the time of the prophet Job? And the timeline is about 700 years. All right, it's about the story of Job takes place about 700 years before the birth of the prophet Jesus. Okay. Well, when Job was going through all that stuff he was going through, somebody came to talk to him. Guess who it was? It's in the book. It's in the Bible. Your Bible. The Prophet Ali said, these are the 18 years missing from your Bible. That's what he said. Elihu, go read it. Elihu came, sat down, and talked to Job. But when you started the book of Job, it says that the angels were coming into heaven. The angels was coming into heaven. And Allah was watching the angels come into heaven. And Allah says, he sees Satan. And he says, Where are you going, Satan? And Satan said, I am going to and fro, up and down the earth and seeking whom I may devour. The angels was going into heaven. Now, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science of America teaches us that heaven is a what? It says, not a place of meets and bounds. It is a state of mind. You're right. The higher self and the lower self, at the time when they met in the heart. They met in the heart. Now, it gets a little deeper than that too, though. So when we read in the book of Job, these are angels that's coming into heaven. And Allah looks and he sees Satan. Where was Satan?
Satan.
No. But where was Satan though? When Allah was looking at these angels, where was Satan? Y'all, hey, Moore's gonna go crazy when I say this. Where was Satan? They about to go crazy. Oh man, man, you got what is you talking about? It's right there in the book. Like, man, what you was studying. He was in the angels, man. They got a higher self and a lower self too. But guess what? The majority of the time, and I say majority of the time, because according to the book, we read the book of Revelation, it talks about the dragon. It say that he was cast out. And it say his angels was cast out with him. See, he got angels too. All right? But see, most of these angels' will was never strong. They had no desire to allow for their lower self to have an intercourse with the world. So that it could produce hatred, slanders, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything at harm. Plus, we know that angels are thoughts of Allah manifested in human flesh. All right? But it's right there in the book. Oh man, Pennington Bey, man, that's you always saying some stuff. You said that the prophets could sin and everything. I sure did. And I can prove it. A lot of them sin. It's right. Islam. Islam. So everyone has a higher self. The Bible tells us that when you do good, you will be rewarded. But when you do bad, then sin crouches at the threshold. It crouches there. Don't mean that it overtakes you. Because then it goes on and say, but you shall rule over it. All right? So that lower self, that sin is always crouching and is waiting to leap, is waiting for its opportunity to overpower you. All right? But see, the more we know about ourselves, our inclinations, the more we know about our feelings and where they derive from, then we can tell when it's trying to do what it do, and then we can check it. It really gets us when it catches us off guard. How many times we been caught off? Anybody been caught off guard by their little self? Caught off guard. You was the next thing you know, it was like all of a sudden you was all the way in your nose, and you ain't even realize what steps you took to get there. I mean, or am I the only one who had that experience?
No.
Yeah, so it happens. See, we have to, soon as we recognize it, check it. Sometimes you gotta go somewhere to be alone with yourself, right? Didn't Jesus have to do that? In the Quran, it said that Jesus had to go into the wilderness so that he could be alone with himself. So sometimes we have to go somewhere so we could be alone with ourselves so that we can check ourselves and gain control of ourselves. All right? Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Some we think it's a weakness in us that we have to do that. No, it's an incredible display of strength when you do that. When you recognize that you know you better than most people know you, and you know I do something that I don't really truly want to do. Right? So these things is important, man. These is important. That's why the Prophet Noble Ali gives us these lessons. He teaches us these things about ourselves. Right? What time is it?
27.
Oh. Okay. So we just finished chapter number 15, right?
Yeah.
Now we'll be in chapter number 16. And I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read until I stop. Me and you was talking about this. Well, we was definitely just talking about this the other day. So I'm gonna read until I stop, and then we're gonna. I want y'all to see what takes place here. All right. So Pilate's final effort to release Jesus fails. He washes his hands in feigned innocence, delivers Jesus to the Jews for execution. The soldiers drive him to Calvary. Islam. A superstitious people are the Jews. They have a faith that they have borrowed from the idol worshippers of other lands, that at the end of every year, they may heap all their sins upon the head of some man set apart to bear their sins. The man becomes a scapegoat for the multitudes, and they believe that when they drive him forth into the wilds or into foreign lands, they are released from sins. So every spring before the feast, they chose a prisoner from the prisons of the land, and by a form of their own, they fain would make him bear their sins away. Among the Jewish prisoners in Jerusalem were three, who were the leaders of a vile seditious band, who had engaged in theft and murders and raping, and had been sentenced to be crucified. Barabbas and Jesse were among the men who were to die. But Barabbas was rich and had bought off priests the boon to be the scapegoat for the people at the coming feast, and he was anxiously in waiting for his hour to come. Now Pilate thought to turn this superstition to account to save the Lord Jesus, and so he went before the Jews and said, listen, you men of Israel, according to my custom, I will release to you today a prisoner who shall bear your sins away. I'm going to stop right there. It starts off by saying a superstitious people are the Jews. They have a faith that they have borrowed from the idol worshippers of other lands, that at the end of every year, they may heap all their sins upon the head of some man set apart to bear their sins. And then he tells us where they got this superstition from.
Well, that is something.
Huh?
That sounds like every year they was making Jesus or something.
Listen, you hit the nail right on the head. You hit the nail right. Did you hear what he said? Every year they was making the Jesus. Now draw though. Now look, you hit it right on the head. Because listen to now, Pilate is a Roman governor. He's not an Israelite. He's not a Jew. He is a Roman governor who has been placed there to rule because the Jews have been colonized by Rome. So now here, he just tried Jesus. He like, man, you know what? You innocent. I'm gonna turn my superstition because they accepted the superstition of my people. So now this whole idea that Jesus died on the cross and took away everybody's sin, we just found out where it came from. It came from the same people who killed him. It came from the same doggone people who murdered him. They have been doing it. And like you said, Mo, they was creating a Jesus every year. And then finally they got one who they could propel forward into time immemorial with this superstition that they knew was a superstition. You hear what Palat saying? Listen to it, I'm gonna read it again. Now, Palat thought to turn this superstition to account to save the Lord Jesus. He knew it didn't mean nothing. But it was something, it was a tool that they used, that's all. It was just a tool that they used. And they used it against the ignorant people who did not understand and who would have so much despair in their heart that they would be willing to believe anything if you told them that it was going to relieve them from a hell after a hell they was already living. You done already scared them to death by telling them they had a whole nother hell that they had to go to. Now you giving them a way out. And look what they willing to do. They willing to put an innocent man to death to save themselves from all of their sins, open and secret. Goodness. This man you drive into the wilds or in foreign land has been proven guilty of the murder of a score of men. Now Barabbas has killed, he got 20 murders. You hear that? A score. Now hear me, men. Let Jesus be released and let Barabbas pay his debt upon the cross. Then you can send this Jesus to the wilds and hear no more of him. Jesus was only charged with saying he was the Son of God. They charged him with heresy. That was the charge. Now he got 20 murders. He said he was the Son of God. And what the ruler said, the people were enraged. And they began to plot to tear the Roman palace down and drive in exile Palat and his household and his guards. When Palat was assured that civil war would follow if he heeded not to the wishes of the mob, he took a bowl of water and in the presence of the multitude, he washed his hands and said, "This man whom you accuse is Son of the Most High Allah, and I proclaim my innocence." So now if he just said that the man is the Son of the Most High Allah, why y'all ain't stringing him up and put him on the cross too? That was his only charge. His charge was he said he was the Son of Allah. Now the man just said he is the Son of Allah. Now you know how it is when you get upset at somebody, now you know you got to back down, but you want to get your last word in. This is what Palat did. Palat know, because he just know they tear the palace down. But he threw it out there. He is the Son of Allah now. But he don't look like them. It's sad. It's sad, but we are far more comfortable with murdering people who look like us. If you will shed his blood is on your hands and not mine. And then the Jews exclaimed, "And let his blood be on our hands," and listen, y'all, "and on our children." And Palat trembled like a leaf in fear. Barabbas he released, and as the Lord stood forth before the mob, the ruler said, "Behold your king, and would you put to death your king?" The Jews replied, "He is no king. We have no king but great Tiberius." Now let me tell y'all something, man. These people probably ain't never seen Tiberius before. Only time they seen him was on the coin. That's the only time they seen his face on the coin, on the money that they had in his pocket. They seen statues of the man. They never seen him. He never came nowhere near them. He didn't talk to them about the taxes that he demanded them to pay. He didn't talk to them about the work that he demanded them to do. But what did Jesus do? They seen Jesus feed thousands. They seen Jesus make the lame walk. They seen Jesus teach about Allah. Allah who cared about the common people. They seen him do this for many years since he was a child. But they yet and still, they rejected the word of truth that was in front of them. Love made manifest, they rejected it, and it was in front of them, it was amongst them, and it was helping them, and it was doing for them, for somebody who they had never seen before. Man, this is what we do. This is what we do. We stand in these temples and we demonstrate these truths. And we go out on the highways and the byways and we demonstrate these truths. And we sacrifice. We sacrifice a great deal. And ones turn right around and reject what you do to go and follow somebody who they ain't never met before. They don't have no proof that these people even believe in what they talking about. Because you can't see them. I'm not even going to say that the individuals who you following don't believe the garbage that they preach. I'm going to tell you it's garbage. And I'm going to tell you that you have absolutely no proof. You don't have nothing to tell you that they are anything other than actors. While the proof is in front of them. It's right here, man. They did it to the Jesus. Now, Pilate could not give consent that Roman soldiers should imbue their hands in blood of innocents, and so the chief priests and the Pharisees took counsel what to do with Jesus. All right? Because the Romans had law. They tried him, they found him innocent, and according to our law, I can't sentence him to death or nothing because I don't think he guilty. So the chief priests, listen to this. The priests and the Pharisees, these are religious people. Okay? These ain't justices and magistrates. These is the priests and the Pharisees, these religious folks. Okay? So now, Caiaphas has said, we cannot crucify this man. He must be stoned to death and nothing more. And then the rabble said, make haste. Let him be stoned. And then they led him forth toward the hill beyond the city's gates, where criminals were put to death. The rabble could not wait until they reached the place of skulls. As soon as they had passed the city's gates, they rushed upon him, smote him with their hands, they spit upon him, stoned him, and he fell upon the ground. Y'all hear that? They stoned him. Okay, they stoned him. That was his sentence, right? When the chief priests and the Pharisees came together, they decided that his sentence would be, he would be stoned, right? And a man of Allah, stood forth and said, Isaiah said, he shall be bruised for our transgressions, and by his stripes we shall be healed. As Jesus lay all bruised and mangled on the ground, a high priest called out, stay, you men. Behold, the guards of Herod come, and they will crucify this man. And there beside the city's gates, they found Barabbas' cross. The man who had 20 murders.
Right.
And then the frenzied mob cried out, let him be crucified. Caiaphas and the other ruling Jews came forth and gave consent. And they lifted Jesus from the ground, and at the point of swords, they drove him on. A man named Simon from Crane, a friend of Jesus, was near the scene, and since the bruised and wounded Jesus could not bear his cross, they laid it on the shoulders of this man and made him bear it to Calvary. So they tried him in Roman court. The Romans found him innocent. Now, despite the fact that they had been pursuing him his entire life, now finally, when y'all get him in the court, the man couldn't do nothing but find him innocent. He declared him innocent. The priests and the Pharisees decided to stone him to death anyway. They stoned him. And then they turned around and Rod and Keith and them decided to crucify him still. They gave the man 2 death sentences. And then turned around. And what did the Prophet Noble True Ali say? He said the Romans who crucified Jesus founded the first church. So they got the man, tried him for saying he was the son of Allah. Killed him twice. And then told the whole world that he is not only the son of Allah, but he is God. And now we gonna do what? We gonna praise him and his mama and his homie Peter. But they already showed you that they don't believe it. Because it say right here, now Pilate thought to turn this superstition to account to save the Lord Jesus. See, they don't believe it. To them, it is just a tool that they use. So when the Prophet Noble Drew Ali says that we are returning to Islam, for it was founded by our forefathers for our salvation, and we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European because it was founded by their forefathers for their earthly salvation. He don't mean that they founded a spiritual system that they can worship under. They founded a system that they can get you to worship under, and then they can control you by their system that they created for that purpose. Simple and plain, man. It's right here in the book. It's right here. And the reason why this is so important is because today, man, we can't just turn around and point the finger at the church. We got to start looking around the house where we standing at. We got to start looking everywhere. Everybody's using this method now. You know why? Because it's tried, it's true, it has proven, it's been proven that it works. And the Lord self would do anything. Don't be the one doing it. Do not be the one doing this. Don't do this. Jim and I just started talking. This AI stuff crazy. Islam war. Peace to the Facebook. Hold on, before I close out, let me check the chat real quick. Islam Wars. Peace to the Facebook. Happy Sunday school. Honor to everybody who came to learn the truth about themselves.